Welcome to another episode of Last Week's Comics Today. I've got a short stack, and not all of this is from this week. I have a feeling like the next couple of months might be short stacks, what with DC Night Terrors, a bunch of books on hiatus for 2 months. I think of those, the only one that I'm getting is Shazam, because it's still written by Wade. A bunch of the other stuff is written by other people, and I don't care. I don't care. Brynmore. It's the new Steve Niles, IDW. I didn't have this on my pull list. I grabbed it off the shelf because I didn't have any of this stuff was on my pull list. I didn't have anything in my pull list this week. I walked around the store. I grabbed a couple of Steve books, and I think there's only a couple of people that will understand what that means. But Brynmore. It's a new horror book, and as I said, this wasn't on my pull list. I don't remember what the solicitation text read, but it wasn't enough to entice me. I grabbed it off the rack anyway, and it's good, and I think I'm adding this to my pull list. There is one thing, so I've been flipping through it. There's one thing I want to point out about the art. I mean, this is great. I am unfamiliar with Damien Worm, but he's got some talent. Damien Worm. There is one thing that bugged me, though. So I'm reading this. It's about a guy who returns to his island hometown, mildly reminiscent of Alan Wake. It's heavily forested. He's bearded. He is renovating a church, and there are some assholes in town that don't really want him there. There's a bunch of text here. I think it's honestly overwritten. It could have done with a little less text, but it's all personal history. It's island history. It's local history as well. So it's informative. There's a bunch of stuff going on. There's a bit of a mystery as well, and it gets to this point where this lady shows up, and he's removing his gloves there. That's what that is. And she has a basket in that hand. She gives him a basket. There's some leafy stuff in there. It's got to be vegetables, I'm assuming. And then the basket completely disappears. So it's not in his hands. It's not on the ground in this shot. And then as she's leaving, he says, "Thanks for the supplies." And by this point, 2 pages ago, I'd forgotten that she gave him a basket full of vegetables. So, that was mildly annoying. It should have been on the ground in this shot. I'm saying it probably should have been either in this shot or this one. This paper's super glossy. He should have been seen putting it on one of the pews. Just to carry that element through. Otherwise, it's good. You can see that the art is very crisp. It's very clean. It's also, I don't know. It's good. It's good. I like it. I'm adding it to my pull list. Next up, I've got Darth Vader, Black, White, and Red. This is issue 3. I did not read parts 1 or 2. I grabbed this because of Danny Warren Johnson. So in this, there is part 3. This is the one that I was most confused by. Part 3 of this Jason Aaron, Leonard Kirk story. This standalone, I believe, Danny Warren Johnson. And then this also, I believe, standalone. I don't know any of those creators, but it was a good story. So I read all 3 of them. I read Johnson's first. And as I said, I was most confused by Aaron's because I didn't read parts 1 and 2. But effectively, Darth Vader is still a badass even when he's in a coma, unconscious, knocked out. I'm not entirely sure what was happening. Some sort of medical procedure. And thieves want to steal his shit. And that doesn't happen. This is the Danny Warren Johnson, and it is spectacular. It's worth the price. Was it $5? $5. Sure. I mean, just look at this art. When's the last time Star Wars had this much energy? And look at, oh my god. This, well, one, this face. Holy cow. But then, this is happening. It's just amazing. Look at that. But this, hold, wait. This, just majestic as fuck. Oh my god. I have one problem with this. It's maybe two problems, but look at this too. It's amazing. One, Darth Vader, I don't think should have his own series. This it makes him awesome. It makes him a badass, and there is literally no way the rebellion could beat this guy if he was operating at this level. I mean, I don't know if he was under the weather at the time, if he'd gotten drunk the night before, if he had a bad night's sleep, just slept wrong. Something. Because there is no way this guy could be beaten by Luke Skywalker. Get out of here. He does so many amazing things in this. There's no way. There is literally no way the rebellion could beat this guy. It is ridiculous. And he shouldn't have his own series. I feel minorly tricked by this. So I grabbed this off of the rack. This was a Steve pick, and I didn't realize until later that it was also a Tinian book. I tend to ignore everything that has Tinian's name on it. I don't think he's that good of a writer, even though he's like the hot shit for, recent years. Some of these killing the children, everything else that he's doing. But I've always thought of him as not as good as Scott Snyder, and I don't think even modern Scott Snyder is as good as old Scott Snyder. But thankfully, it's just an idea from Tinian, and is actually written by somebody else. Art I've been flipping through is, again, it's very crisp and clean, looks great. So the story, well, there's this going on, but the story is this Christopher Chaos that I keep wanting to call Christopher Chance. It's a bit awkward. He's got some weird shit going on. Let me find an example. So this happens at one point. So those stuff is flying around. Not entirely sure what's going on there. And then he does all of this on the walls and the floor, and it was supposed to be talking about, what was it, Shakespeare? Yeah. He was supposed to be talking about Hamlet, and wound up doing all of this. And somehow he got, this much. I mean, this takes time to do, and at no point did the teacher stop him. I don't fully understand it. It's weird. It doesn't really make any sense. But there's a sudden werewolf, and these people in white that he calls hunters at one point, and exploding. It's very weird, and there's also a zombie pigeon. Look, this is weird, and I might be curious enough to check it out. I haven't fully decided on this one. I want to see how many issues it is, what this is planned to be. Most Dark Horse stuff is like a 3 to 5 to 6 issue series. So if it's short, I might add it, and if it's long, possibly not. That's weird, but accurate. Then some stuff from previous weeks. This was out last week. I didn't grab it at the time. I didn't especially care. I read the preview pages and I wasn't hooked. And this doesn't really change my mind in any way. And in fact, I'm a little bit more annoyed than I was originally. So there's this whole sequence here, and this is page 3, with this counting as page 1. So really it's effectively page 2, but you've got this going on. There's a van, there's people in a van, and there's this whole explanation of what is about to happen, which I call bullshit on, because These people operating at the level that they are should have worked all of this stuff out before they ever got into the van, and the fact that they didn't, it's not good. There is an attempted explanation for this later. It comes in a few pages, but I don't buy it. I don't. I think it's poorly written. It could have and should have been handled differently. Now, here's where I really don't care. I didn't realize he had a cable eye. But I never read much of Ultimate Fantastic Four. One of the early issues had Dr. Doom. He was controlling, I want to say, mosquitoes or flies. They were like electronic drone insects, butterflies maybe, via Bluetooth, and I called bullshit, and it was so stupid. It was so specific and stupid. I'm like, no, this is unacceptable. And I just wrote it off, and because I've never really cared about the Fantastic Four that much, I ignored the whole rest of the series. I paid attention at some point if it crossed over with something else, but I don't know. I know that I think the other 3 or 2, somebody died at some point. I don't know. So how Reed became such a dick and has a cable eye, I don't know. He's building a machine, he steals a spider, and thankfully this is only 4 issues. I'm curious about what comes after this, so I might wind up grabbing the next 3 issues just to see, because I want to see what's on the other side of this. I don't especially care about this, I just want to see what's on the other side. That's it. Lastly, there is Arcade Kings issue 1. This came out 5 or 6 weeks ago, because issue 2 is already out, and I didn't grab this initially either. I'd read the preview pages, and they didn't hook me, but the art was nice, I thought. I'm trying to remember where the preview pages were. I think it was this fight. And it gives some Scott Pilgrim-ish vibes. It's video games, it's fight movies, it's honestly some family drama. There's a bit of mystery. There's it's really good. It's high energy. It's again crisp, clean art, but I mean speed lines all over the place. This is a lot of fun. This is going to sound like an insult, but it's not meant to be. This feels like a passion project. It's like a kids in high school. It's primarily one dude, but it feels like something that kids in high school that were into comics would have wanted to make, and he's at a level now that he can do it professionally, and it's pretty awesome. It's a lot of fun, and I am definitely adding this to my pull list. This is only 5 issues, and I want to know more. So issue 2 is already out. I'm going to grab that next time I'm at the shop. I'll talk about that next week. But that is everything that I got this week. I will talk, because I didn't mention, I don't think, Hitch's art at all. I think his art is better here than what I've seen in some of his DC stuff. I wasn't the biggest fan of some of his DC work, but he's giving a shit, and it's good. I think that's all I have to say. It's still very Hitch. I will say I think Black Panther looks weird. Like, it's not really a dude in a mask, but a cat in the shape of a person. I don't know. There's something weird. This whole issue, not just this panel, but Black Panther looks weird. As far as Pick of the Week goes, I'm giving it to Brynmore because it's what came out this week. But Darth Vader is also really good. There's a weird connective tissue in 2 of the stories where he's remotely controlling 2 planes or 2 fighters, 2 whatever ships, and I don't don't know. I feel like editorial maybe should have stepped in and be like, let's not put both of these in the same issue. But whatever. Christopher Chaos is a good start. This is just okay. And honestly, if it had come out this week, Arcade Kings would be my pick of the week. I had the most fun reading this. But this is everything that I got this week. As always, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.